Hello everyone, it is Dirk, and I am playing some Storm Warning while I talk to you about some stuff. And yep, this is what I'm taking into battle, so while I'm playing the game, I'll be having a little chat with you. So, it all started with Treeburgers, I believe, who was talking about Winter Mayhem, and isn't it kind of cool that you can have different classes, and that is pretty special. Thank you, Treeburgers, for actually making me want to play Winter Mayhem. I didn't like it at first, but it's kind of cool. I do like how you can change different classes. It's kind of hard to do that in a group, to do it strategically, but I like the option. And then Mr. Coldfire came back, and he actually found something from Crossout. I don't know where you found that, man. Crossout was actually talking about, gee, isn't it cool how you can do different classes in Winter Mayhem? Maybe we could do this in Clan Wars, like actually do it. And that's really, really interesting. Yeah, you're wasting your time, bud. You're wasting your time. So anyway, like I was saying, classes. Now, before even this whole thing happened, in forums, people are talking about this a lot, aren't they? People have been saying, why don't you just do classes in Clan Wars, because it's all cannons, it's all cannon hover, cannon hover, cannon hover. Anyway, so it's like you don't really have a choice. You gotta do what's meta, you gotta do what's on the plate, and that's what's on the plate, and that is it. So why don't you make us do classes? It's been on the forums for ages, so people do talk about it. Yeah. And I guess this is a way of them saying, I won! I won! I don't care, man. Fourth place. Fourth place is all I needed. I'll tell you why in a second. So anyway, this thing is going on. Now they're saying, apparently from Coldfire, they're saying they are looking in to actually having some classes in Clan Wars. Yeah, so why did I do that? To get this here. Additional content. This is killing me, guys. This is why I'm not doing videos. I gotta do these things and they're so hard. Well, that was really hard, but you know what I mean. I don't play Winter Mayhem a whole lot. I have been enjoying it so much, a bit more since Treeburger gave me some hints, but it's really not an easy win for me. If it's not an easy win for me, I don't really want to do it. But that is a really interesting part of this game, that they do have these different classes. So let's see, there's 5 classes here. You got your fast-moving scout, you got your mortar, you got your tank, your sniper, your cannon. So there are 5 classes. So let me just talk a little bit about how, if they were going to put this into Clan Wars, what's a really good, as far as I'm concerned, what's the best thing, that how I would implement that. At any time, stop this video and put in comments what you think about what I said and how it really kind of sucks and etc. So go right ahead. Now what I'm thinking is, first of all, at this stage of the game, you probably don't want to mess with Clan Wars a whole lot. What I'm saying first of all out the bat, which might not be so popular, but yes, Clan Wars needs some fixing, but possibly don't bother. Just make this another game mode. Now, it is another game mode, but have it like you still get uranium, you still have very much the good stuff that makes Clan Wars Clan Wars. Keep that in, make it an alternative. So Clan Wars in this case would be more like a free-for-all. Hello. This other one is kind of more of a doctored version of Clan Wars, so it's still another way of getting uranium, but possibly, you know, the limitations can actually help. So, let's unpack this. Now, it's a separate game mode, okay? You still get all the good stuff, you still get uranium, you still get 4 guys on the side. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about classes. So in this case, there's 5 classes. Maybe we could have like 4 classes, I don't really know, maybe 4. So let's just start. What would be the classes anyway? What does that even mean? So anyway, so you have these vehicles that they give you. In this case, it's not going to be like that, right? Because it is what they would call the end game, in that you've worked your whole life, literally, for all the good stuff. That's the whole point, right? And you've grinded for the armor, everything. This is where it all comes together. So forget that. You're not just getting weapons and pre-made vehicles. Could be a cool other brawl. I like that idea as just a brawl or something. There you go. Thank you, Dirky. You're very welcome. So you have factions. Okay, so now that these factions are not pre-mades, you're just kind of selecting a class, but you don't get the weapons and you don't get to choose a pre-made vehicle. How do you moderate that craziness, right? So it's pretty simple as far as this idea goes. Like I was saying, so here you go. You got your blueprints. You have a separate blueprint for the special mode. In there, there's going to be 4 to 5 different slots. Let's just call this the melee slot. I'm calling it, okay? So the first one would be your melee slot. All right, so here I can build a vehicle, whatever, and I go into here, and as I'm doing that, I only have options for certain things. I don't think you want to limit to cabs so much. Maybe melee you could be limited to, for example, let's say for melee you are stuck with light or certain medium cabins. And now here's the important part. Each class you would be limited by your weapon class. So for short range, you would be stuck with, of course, all your melee weapons you would have, your lances, your harvesters, your all this good stuff, your remedy as well, your incinerator, all the fire stuff. So fire and melee. Maybe shotguns, but for now, just as a sketch, let's say we're stuck with just a melee class. So you have all this stuff, and you'd also be limited to certain kinds of wheel types. So melee, let's just say you are stuck with only tires, and maybe small tracks or hardened tracks as well. You wouldn't have armored tracks for melee, and you wouldn't have hovers or legs just because it would limit, because we don't want to have just constant just hovers versus hovers, right? So that's why we want to limit by a lot of stuff. Maybe you can limit by hardware as well. So maybe melee, you may have the option to cloak, and that's how it would work. So every class system, you'd have a limited set of stuff. That's how it's a class. You are still free to build within those confines whatever the hell you want to build. The next one obviously is going to be a cannon class, and here's where it's kind of iffy. So this class, obviously you'll be limited to, let's say you won't have any light cabs. Well, yeah, you might want a harpy. So let's say still you're limited to certain kinds of cabs. Harpy, yes, maybe some other ones, definitely some heavy cabs. And here's where I don't really know, but let's just say maybe you can have hovers and or tracks. So either hovers or heavy tracks or some kind of legs. So you can kind of choose within the confines of that. I don't know, maybe even separate that into two separate classes. You got cannon for hovers and cannon for legs. Something like that, but let's move on. So we have a general thing about the cannon class. I don't know, got kind of messy there. The second one is a machine gun thing. So for machine guns or something, you might have something that's a little bit more broad. So you could have hovers or wheels. I don't know where meat grinders go at all, but you can shove them in somewhere. So then you'd have your machine guns, and maybe synthesis is also included in that. Piercers definitely could be part of that. Equalizers could be part of that class. So you have a machine gun class, you have that. And then in the comments, what do you guys think? So I have a melee class, I have a cannon class, and a machine gun class. What's the fourth class? So maybe the fourth class could be a shotgun class. So it could, I guess shotgun could be whatever you want, could have different multiple things. Maybe you wouldn't have a hovers allowed for that class. I don't know. You certainly have a lot of options for shotguns. So you have a lot of shotguns, etc. So that could be a thing. Maybe you have, okay, so it could be a shotgun class. And maybe just to make it more interesting, there's a fifth class that would be optional. So you can choose 4 out of 5 classes. The fifth class could be something like a long range crazy thing, like it could be a mandrake, hurricane, cricket, some kind of rocket, long range, incinerator, something like that. So now you have 5 classes, they're limited by the confines, and you can just populate those builds in a separate tab in here somewhere. And you're not required to have all of them in there, but you know, you do what you can. You have populate the ones that you can, and when it comes out time to play in the game, now you're with your teammates, you'll all have to choose a class, and that's where it kind of gets kind of wonky, because you can't have more than one of the same class. So between you and your friends, you would have to actually decide which of you is going to switch off. You might be encouraged, for example, even if you're not really so much of a cannon guy, you might be encouraged to have something there just in case you couldn't play with something else, and that way you're kind of good to go. So does that make sense? So it would be a new game mode, another way to get uranium, because Clan Wars is already kind of so elitist as it is, and this way it might be a little bit more interesting because you always know that you're not always against the same damn thing, the same Typhoon hover like you're complaining about, right? You don't want to see high Typhoon hovers for every single game. That's the way it is. That's what wins. So now you're kind of stuck with having more interesting stuff, more dynamics, and it's probably going to find some kind of meta as well, but every class would have its own meta, so at least it's a bit more varied. Yeah, what can I say? That's my take on that. That's what I think would work. What do you think would work? Let me know in comments. What did I get wrong? What could be better? And how is it as of right now? I think we all know. But let me know in comments. I will see you guys later. Thank you for watching. Peace out. Bye.
Don't drop that Dirk, hey. it, don't drop that Dirk.